Hello audience. Now we have completely repainted this car, installed a new interior, replaced some wood, replaced the front axle, restored the wheels, probably some other stuff I've forgotten about, and now we're going to cover the last thing to do on this, the pinstripe. Now, all Model A passenger cars and some Model A commercial vehicles were originally pinstriped in some way. It's part of the paint color combination. Now the way they were done varies depending on year, body type, and coach builder, but generally they were done in more or less an 1/8 inch wide stripe that was painted entirely freehand, with no tape, no stencils, no rollers, no machines, no nothing, just somebody holding a brush. For this car we're using French Gray as the pinstripe color. It's a factory color that was used through most of the production years, mostly with dark blue. Now, a bit of useless trivia here. Ford actually did have a pinstripe color called French Gray that they used from 1911 through 1913. They used it with dark blue. And it's believed that the French Gray used for the Model A's is the same color. Now, normally, if there's any serious pinstriping to be done, the thing to do is to just hire a professional. Problem is, a lot of professionals won't touch Model A's, or they won't want to do them right. And granted, it does have its extra set of challenges. Like I said, it's got to be striped entirely freehand if you want it to look authentic, and it's got to be one steady, even, consistent stripe all around the entire car, working around the door hinges, the door handles, reaching over the fenders and stuff. It's quite challenging compared to what most people think of pinstriping as like painting little designs on a motorcycle gas tank that's just sitting on a table in front of you. So after a few years of hearing these people telling me this stuff can't be done or they don't want to do it, guess what? I started doing it myself. And that's what you see here now. Now, I don't consider myself to be a professional, so I'm not going to try and teach you how to stripe your own car, but I will show you how I did this. The first thing was I got the painter to mix up a little bit of the right color. The brush I'm using is a number 00. I chose that only because that's the only one the local paint store sells. The palette I'm using is nothing fancy, just a piece of wood with a piece of aluminum foil over it. Just about any surface that the paint won't absorb into will work. At least that's been my experience. It takes a little trial and error to get the thickness of the paint just right for striping, so I'm going to do a little practicing first. And this old hood will be just perfect for practicing on. After a few tries, I was getting satisfying results, so it was time to move on to the real thing. Because the stripe is going on a bead, I can run my fingers on the crease of the bead to keep my hand stable. The key is to have lots and lots and lots of patience. And it came out pretty decent. So now there's just one or two little things I need to put together on this car, and then it's finished. And that's it. It's finished. So later that day I started it up, drove the car around the neighborhood a little, make sure everything works properly, because since we replaced the front axle and a bunch of other stuff, I wasn't sure if the front end was going to behave itself. Anyway, it does. The car wants to go in a straight line, it steers really easily, it corrects itself properly, so everything works like it should. So then it called up the owners, and they rushed out here immediately to see it. They absolutely love it. They drove it around the neighborhood a bunch of times. Nothing to complain about. It was time for them to drive it home, and we ran into a new little problem on the way. About 100 feet away from the house, the car just quit running. Wouldn't restart. We looked at it, couldn't really find anything wrong with it. It eventually started back up, and they continued, but this time we jumped in a car and decided to follow them just in case, which was a smart thing, because a mile later, quit running again. And also didn't want to restart, and kept doing this for a little ways until it just completely quit and wouldn't restart at all. Luckily, we found a place where we could park it away from traffic and looked at it a little, discovered the ignition system wasn't working, so I ran back home. Luckily, I had this car sitting here being worked on, so I pirated every ignition component off of it, ran back out there, and we just started swapping parts until it started up. We started with the coil. That did nothing. We're going to replace the condenser, but that car has the new modern points, which has its own condenser and won't interchange with the stock Model A system, which is what this car had. So we ended up swapping the entire distributor. And that worked. That fired it up. What I discovered later on was that the real problem was the distributor was shorting out internally. So swapping it out was actually the smart thing to do. I don't think I would have been able to fix this on the side of the road. Actually, I probably could if I had to, but anyway, swapping it out was the smart thing to do. So I need to go through this, make sure it works, and then go out there to where they live and swap it back. Anyway, after that it was running good, and they continued on their way. And we chose to follow them anyway, just in case, but after a few miles, the car seemed to be proving itself, and we decided to turn back and let them go. And later that day, we got a message that they made it home safely, so that's good. Anyway, this project's not quite over yet for me. I still have to go out there for about a day and touch up a few things, also replace a distributor, but this is the end of this video series. So, thank you very much everyone for watching, and thank you for your positive comments and your support. It's really been keeping my motivation going. I mean, there have been some rough times on this job where I really didn't want to work on it, so thank you very much. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Not sure what I'm going to do next. Hopefully get back to work on some of my own cars, but whatever it is, we'll see you then.